From very interesting and entertaining to a team that no one's really paying attention to right now, the Tennessee Titans, one of the teams looking for a new coach. They have found their coach. They will hire Brian Callahan, the Bengals offensive coordinator since 2019. He takes over as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, the replacement for Mike Vrabel. And I'm going to give the guy a chance. I'm not saying I'm not giving the guy a chance. I'm just not inspired by this. I'm not excited by this. Because you had a coach who was doing the job well. He was one of the better coaches in the NFL. And I think the Titans, and I said this when they fired Mike Vrabel, owner Amy Adams Strunk allowed, I think, things irrelevant to Vrabel's coaching ability to cloud her judgment, and she decided she needed to move on, and I don't think she should have. Now, maybe Mike Vrabel just played her. Maybe he wanted out. Remember when it first happened, we thought he was trying to get to New England. That didn't work, but maybe he was ready to move on. Regardless, they should have found a way to make it work with Vrabel because you have a known commodity. It's kind of like what the Bears are going through with Justin Fields right now. You have a known commodity. You're going to roll the dice, and we see it all the time. It is a lot like drafting a quarterback, Charean.
Yeah.
Making a coordinator a head coach. Completely different skill set. We don't know. We don't know. We'll find out. It may be good, it may be bad. He may have it, he may not. We don't know. But we know that Vrabel did. That's my big caveat going into this. And I know it's supposed to be a celebration when a team has a new coach and the glass is half full, and here we go. Maybe we have Vince Lombardi. Yeah, maybe you got Rich Kotite too. There's only one way to find out.
Anytime, Mike, that you have a general manager hire and the head coach is already there, that puts pressure on that head coach. And that's what the Titans did. They kept Mike Vrabel a year ago, and they hired Ran Carthon as their general manager. At that point, it became obvious that either Vrabel was going to have a great year and they were going to keep him, or they weren't going to have a great year and they were probably going to move on from him. And we started hearing in the middle of the year about that they just didn't mesh. It was not a good fit. And so basically, I think what Amy Adams Strunk did was pick Ran Carthon over Mike Vrabel. And you don't know really, because you've had one draft, you don't know what you have in Ran Carthon. So to me, this is a huge roll of the dice because you knew what you had in Mike Vrabel. I mean, he was coach of the year a couple years ago, 3 years ago. So you knew what you had in Mike Vrabel. To me, you're uncertain what you have in Ran Carthon. You picked him for a reason, so you think you picked a good general manager. And now you picked Brian Callahan for a reason, and you think you have a good head coach, but you don't know. It's a huge roll of the dice for this team on both sides, at the GM position and at the coaching position. I think the Titans are taking on right now. I get why they hired an offensive coach. They want to develop Will Levis. I get that part of it. I mean, I thought when they got rid of Mike Vrabel, a defensive guy, that they were going to go offense, and they did. I thought that was pretty obvious. But, you know, you go back to Amy Adams Strunk, because people, including me, criticized them for at least not trying to trade Mike Vrabel, try to get something for him. And maybe they wouldn't have gotten anything for him, but they didn't even make an attempt to do that, apparently, and just said, no, we needed to get on. So you needed to get on this to hire Brian Callahan. I don't know that you needed to move that quickly to hire Brian Callahan. Maybe you did. He had a couple other interviews set up for this week with the Panthers and Falcons. So maybe you didn't need to move this quickly, but I don't believe they needed to move this quickly to hire Brian Callahan. I think they could have tried to get something for Mike Vrabel, and they didn't try to do that. But to me, Mike, it's simple. I think they picked Ran Carthon over Mike Vrabel, and they're gambling that this is going to pay off. We'll see if it works.
On the issue of possibly trading Mike Vrabel, I think one of the things I've learned in this cycle is if it's a relationship where there's already signs that it's falling apart, it's so much harder to accomplish that transaction because you do have to wait for other teams to get to the point where their searches have matured. And this year, the process is slowed down more than ever before because in-person interviews of coaching candidates under contract with other teams couldn't even start until yesterday. Yesterday was the first day that
Yeah.
you could bring in Brian Callahan and meet with him face-to-face, or anybody else who's under contract with another team. So it's going to take a while. It's going to set you back. Here we are 2 weeks into the offseason already. I think the only way a trade happens is when a phone call is made to a team where it's not kind of publicly known or at least sensed that there's an issue there that would cause the team to say, yeah, I'll take a first-round pick to get rid of this guy, or that causes the coach to say, yes, please take whatever. I want to get out of here. And we just don't know about it. Like we didn't know back in 2002 there was that fracture between Al Davis and John Gruden that set the stage perfectly after the Buccaneers were swinging and missing and Bill Parcells left them at the altar and they're looking at this guy, they're looking at that guy, they're looking at this guy, who we're going to hire, and then out of the blue it's John Gruden. I think it needs to happen that way where we just don't know. Speaking of the difference between engineered and organic, it has to feel organic. To the rest of us, it has to seem organic. If we think that there's an issue there and the two sides are going to go their separate ways and it's obvious. I mean, basically, if we're talking about the possibility of a coach being traded going into a hiring cycle, it can't happen. It has to be the coach that we aren't thinking about, where the phone call is made and the next thing you know, oh, look at this. Team X is trading their coach, and it's not really a trade, but it is a trade to Team Y. So I think that's why it didn't work with Vrabel. That's why they didn't want to play the game. That's why they just wanted to get on with it. And you know, there's a certain amount of let's just get on with it. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
And I felt that with Amy Adams Strunk 2 weeks ago, and making this hire on the first day of when you could have in-person interviews with someone. It tells me there's an element of let's just get this done. And I don't know that let's just get this done is the right way to do it. You know, I found my guy. We did a virtual interview with him. I really like him. Let's just bring it in. It's not a process of elimination. It's a process of confirmation. Let's bring him in. Let's sit down with him. Okay, good. Boom. Let's hire him. You know, if we let him get away, somebody else may hire him. We better hire him while we can. And what's funny is, and look, I'm not a big fan of the hot candidate thing every year because the media just kind of unofficially agrees amongst itself that so-and-so is a hot candidate. Well, why is he the hot candidate and why not somebody else? Callahan wasn't. So they saw something. They like something. They believe he's the guy. I'm a firm believer in making offensive coordinators head coaches because if things go well and you have a defensive coach, guess what? You lose your offensive coordinator and you got to find another one, and that could screw everything up like it might for the Texans. But, hey, it's their team. It's their choice. It's their mess if it ends up being a mess, and they're the ones who are left to possibly regret moving on from Mike Vrabel and rolling the dice on a guy who could be, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take a shot at Rich Kotite earlier. Guy could be the next Brad Childress, possibly. I'll take a shot at him.
Yeah, I do think, Mike, when you hire these coordinators who haven't been head coaches before, you are rolling the dice. And we've seen it work out great for some teams, and we've seen it work out not so great for other teams. You look at DeMeco Ryans, and I think he was the hot candidate last year, and the Texans got him, and I think we all agree that it worked out fantastic, and you can see how much difference a good coach makes to a team. But you look at others who have done it, and it has not worked out as well. I have no problem that he didn't call the plays in Cincinnati. I mean, Zach Taylor didn't call the plays for the Rams either, and he's been a very good head coach in Cincinnati. So I have no problem with that, no problem whatsoever. But it's just the unknown of, are they going to make a head coach? Are they going to be that leader that you need in the locker room that players are going to listen to? You know, there's some doubts about Dan Campbell when he came in, and he's turned out, obviously, to be a great head coach. But a lot of people had criticisms of Dan Campbell. This isn't going to work out. This isn't the usual head coach that we see. You know, this isn't that guy. So maybe Brian Callahan works out. Maybe he doesn't. The Titans had something that they liked about him. I don't know exactly what it was. I guess they'll answer those questions in the press conference. I think it's today. But whatever it was, it better work out for the Titans. You don't want to be one of those teams, Mike, that changes coaches year after year after year. The Texans did that and finally hit on one. It took 3 before they got there. Two failures, one and done. Carolina's in that same boat, getting rid of coaches year after year to try to find the guy who is the right fit. At some point, you got to find the coach that's the right fit. So this better be the right fit for the Titans, especially considering where Jacksonville and where Houston are in their development right now, because they're behind with where they are. So they better hope that they've gotten this one right.
And remember this, Brian Callahan and all other coaching candidates, once you get the job and it's time for your introductory press conference, don't dress like you're going to a funeral, because maybe you are. Don't wear a suit and tie. Don't do it. Gerard Mayo pulled that off last week. Suit and tie season needs to go away. Dan Campbell did the suit and tie at his press conference, his kneecap-biting press conference. He's dressed like he's going to a funeral. Hopefully we evolve away from that. That's not the natural gear that we see from coaches. The Tom Landrys are gone. And although we kind of like that, and remember Jack Del Rio and Mike Nolan tried to bring that back 15, 20 years ago, and it really didn't work because they all have to be walking, talking mannequins for the latest collection of Nike gear that people are buying at NFLshop.com. But yeah, we'll see what kind of we'll get our first taste of Brian Callahan at this press conference. The Titans benefit from the fact that they're just kind of there. There isn't really any national following. It's a far cry from the Cowboys. You know, I talk from time to time about the possibility of the NFL losing its broadcast antitrust exemption and what that would mean. It would mean the Cowboys selling their TV rights for $1 billion or more per year, and other teams not getting anything, and the Titans fall into that bucket of the teams at the other end of the spectrum, that you're not going to get ABC and CBS and Fox and ESPN to do battle with each other to throw money at the Titans to televise their games. They don't have a national following. Winning helps more than anything else, but and they're going to have a great new stadium, and it's a great new city. There's no reason why the Titans should be kind of in that category of nobody really cares about them, but they've been that way. Vrabel tried to pull them out of it. There was a time where the Titans, and it wasn't that long ago, were just the absolute positive most irrelevant team in the NFL. Nobody cared. Nobody paid attention. It came on with the rise of Derrick Henry. It came on with the success they had with Mike Vrabel, but even then, they never made it up into the stratosphere. But now they're risking sliding back into that Mike Mularkey, Ken Wisenhunt irrelevance that they had post Jeff Fisher, the Mike Munchak irrelevance that the Titans had.
The only way they can get that back, really, Mike, is if Will Levis is the real deal. And again, I think we don't know that yet. He did okay in his limited appearances, 9 appearances this season, hurt a couple times, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He was okay, but they had to hire an offensive coach because they want to develop Will Levis. And I think two moves actually probably they need to make, Mike. They need to keep Charles London. He's the quarterback's coach. You can't change continually staffs and offensive systems for a young quarterback. You just can't do it. You can't have, 2 systems in 2 years, 3 systems in 3 years, different coaches every single year. The quarterbacks just don't develop like that when they're changing offenses, changing offensive coordinators. They need some kind of continuity for Will Levis, and I think that's Charles London, and I've seen a lot of other people saying they need to keep him. They need to keep him as quarterback's coach, passing game coordinator, and a possible offensive coordinator for them is Liam Cohen. He worked with Will Levis at Kentucky. He makes perfect sense for them as an offensive coordinator. They need to go out and hire him. And then Levis has continuity 2 different ways. Yes, you're bringing in a new offensive coordinator, but he already knows Liam Cohen. And so I think that's 2 moves probably that the Titans need to make that will help his development. And Brian Callahan, hopefully, as offensive coordinator with the Bengals, he certainly helped develop Joe Burrow in his 5 seasons there. So hopefully he helps develop as well Will Levis. But you got to have continuity a little bit with that quarterback, Mike. You just can't keep changing offensive systems and offensive coaches year after year after year. Quarterbacks don't develop like that.
Liam Cohen's a good one. He's the guy who things were going so bad with the Rams. He left the defending Super Bowl champions for that football powerhouse known as Kentucky. And I just remember seeing that when it happened, thinking, what? Yeah. What? So maybe he regrets now leaving the Rams, given the way things have turned around, but he could have an opportunity with the Titans. And, the other side of it, too. This is the Josh McDaniels, Jay Cutler effect, or the Josh McDaniels, Derek Carr effect. Maybe it's just a Josh McDaniels thing, but there is a chance that Brian Callahan doesn't like what he's seen of Will Levis, but he wants to be a head coach, so he'll just go along with the whole, we're trying to make the most out of Will Levis. We won't know what the truth is, and we may never know what the truth is, and it's not like they're going to run Will Levis off the way that McDaniels ran off Jay Cutler pretty much the moment McDaniels went through the door in Denver some 15 years ago, or the way that McDaniels ran off Derek Carr after 1 year. But we just always assume that the guy that gets the job, when it's an offensive coordinator, is fully and completely on board with that quarterback. They sold themselves as being on board with the quarterback in order to get the job. We'll find out how on board Brian Callahan is with the idea of Will Levis. But look, a guy who's been part of this system that's helped produce Joe Burrow and that had Jake Browning playing at a high level for multiple games, maybe exactly what the Titans need. We just don't know. But I'm not going to fall into the trap of just assuming everything is great, everything is great, everything is great. Oh, look, new head coach. Hey, that's great, that's great. We got to be realistic because we've been both covering this sport for a long time. We've seen great. We've seen the opposite of great. And if we don't at least, this is like what happens with the draft. This is one of the reasons that I can't stand watching the draft coverage on whatever network it's on, because every guy that's picked in round one, he's great, he's great, he's great. Well, folks, we know from history that half of them aren't going to be great. And I know we don't want to rain on their parades, but we have to be realistic. A lot of these coaches who get hired in this cycle aren't going to be great. It's why 8 out of 32 were fired this year. They're all not winners. And you're reaching your hand into that bowl, Charean, and you're pulling out an envelope, and it may be winner or it may be try again in a few years, buddy, because you picked yourself a loser.
And not even a few years, Mike. Chances are, based on what we've seen over the last few years, that at least one of these hires is going to be fired after one season. That's all they're going to get. So it's a microwave society now in the NFL. You better win now. You better show improvement now, or you could be gone after the first year. So chances are really good that one of these coaches hired this cycle is not going to be the head coach of that team next season.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.